Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. Today we've got the sound system demo of the 2021 Cadillac CT4 and its 14-speaker Bose audio system. This is going to be an in-depth review. We're going to take a look at the infotainment system, take a look at speaker locations, inputs, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay demos, sound settings, all that goodness. Then we're going to get out on the road and listen to these sample tracks while we're rolling, and I'll give you my thoughts at the end. Now if you don't care about any of the static stuff and you just want to get to listening to music, go ahead and click on toward the middle of the video. We've got chapters in there and you can scoot right on to the main sound test. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at the car. New for 2021, coming in to take the place of the ATS, the Cadillac CT4. It's got some debatable looks, but undebatable performance here in the V-Series model. We've been having a whole bunch of fun, even though this thing is all-wheel drive. So if you want to see more on the car, check the links in the description. You always do these tests with lossless, uncompressed WAV audio files on a USB stick plugged directly into the system, and high-quality binaural microphones in both of my ears, giving you the most realistic audio system demo on YouTube. We also do the test with sound settings set to their factory defaults. Let's take a look at those now. Very good Cadillac user experience interface here, very responsive and well laid out. They've got it right. So you see we've got bass, mid-range, and treble. Let's sample those in a minute because you also got fader and balance. And then 4 different sound modes: normal, driver, center point, and rear. I found things to sound the most natural and best in normal. Some people like center point. I think it sounds too artificial, so let's take a listen now. Maybe for real easy listening, crisp music, center point might be cool, but in general, for more power, normal sounds better. Then you've got driver, which just focuses it around the driver, and rear, which focuses the sound in the back. Go through the bass, mid-range, and treble. Audio controls in the CT4, you've got a few different options. These new Cadillacs are kind of silly in that you have a volume knob here, volume knob down here, and volume controls on the right side of the steering wheel as buttons. Now, as silly as it is, I do actually appreciate that they offer those, because when you're using the touchscreen, this volume knob makes more sense. When you're using the rotary knob, this volume knob makes more sense. And when you're driving, these ones make sense. So, yeah, it's silly, but actually I think it was a good idea to do that. You do have this rotary knob down here, which works pretty well. It's not the best on the market, but it's also not the worst. It feels nice, clicks decently. It's a little hard to press it side to side to navigate, but they do make it very clear. If you push up, you're gonna go up there. Press down, you're gonna go to here. It is one of the most intuitive and best laid out rotary knobs on the market. But if you don't wanna do that, you've always got your touchscreen. I appreciate Cadillac for keeping that as an option. Look how responsive that is. Works really well. Track selection, you can use these buttons on the steering wheel. You can use these buttons next to this volume knob. You can obviously touch the touch screen, and depending on where you are, you can actually use this rotary knob to navigate around the system as well. You can kind of go through your different track lists. It does different things depending on what menu you're in. For audio inputs in the CT4, we've got your standard AM, FM, Sirius XM satellite radio, USB-A and USB-C, Bluetooth, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay support that is wireless. We'll take a look at that in a minute. And you've also got various online streaming services. This one has USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Spotify, and Amazon Alexa connected. For speaker locations. Oh, I should say. So what does that mean you're missing? Well, you don't have a 3.5mm auxiliary input jack, you don't have a disc player, and that is honestly about it, because actually you do have a little SD card slot, which is surely doing the navigation right now. I don't know if you can use that for audio. It's not the end of the world here in 2021 to not have a disc player or an aux input, but it does make it a little more limited for high quality music. For speaker locations, as I said, this is a 14 speaker system, and Bose doesn't publish its maximum wattage, not a big deal. Starting down here on the lower left, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in the back, you have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 subwoofer in the deck. I would like to see a rear-mounted, trunk-mounted subwoofer, but the deck-lit subwoofer does okay. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay demos. Let's start with Android Auto because it's already connected wirelessly. Let's see, we've got our maps, very responsive. Media right here, I'm using Tidal. And then you can go through and see your settings menu and your main menu. All works very nicely, and it was fairly easy to pair. It's even got NFC pairing here for Android phones, so that's good. Now let's plug in our iPhone for Apple CarPlay. Right away, you get letting you know that CarPlay wants to be connected. I do appreciate that you can do data with both USB ports, so I can still keep my USB music playing. Can enable wireless Apple CarPlay. We're not going to do that, but you can see we've got the settings screen here. You've got your maps, very responsive, and you have your audio. And just to show you, you can go back. You can't do Android Auto and Apple CarPlay at the same time, but you can at least keep your USB running, unlike that MDX that we tested earlier last week. All right, let's fire it up and get on the road. Cruising at highway speeds to get you a listen to the CT4V on the highway. Now keep in mind it is running on winter tires, so it's going to be a little bit louder than standard. Still really not too bad. We didn't end up running a decibel readout on our phone because we're doing a different section of highway and because of the winter tires, but wind noise is pretty minimal. Decent amount of road noise with these tires, and engine noise is virtually non-existent. third measure, the drum beat is coming through remarkably strong. I don't know why it's so poorly balanced like that. Take a listen. There's too much front end in this sound system. It doesn't pull enough from the lows. There's actually a good bit of highs. So the highs and the mid-highs are definitely there, but the mid-highs are too much. There's not quite enough of that low pull to balance out, or else I'd be able to turn the music down a little bit and have things better balanced. This next one, we'll turn the bass all the way up. See what it sounds like. To easier music, or maybe rock music, or the kind of casual pop that has bass, but the main focus isn't the bass. But a song like this, when you turn the bass all the way up, those heavy hits are slapping a little sloppy, but I am getting some mirror shakeage, so not the end of the world. Like this, you notice the bass is definitely adequate. It's sounding pretty darn good. In fact, this is probably one of the better sounding tracks that we've listened to. Just things are decently balanced. It's got your high highs, the high mids aren't coming through quite as strong, and it is a decent bass line as well. Wrapping up my thoughts on the 14-speaker Bose system here in the Cadillac CT4. Typical GM Bose. It sounds decent. Some songs sound perfectly fine. Other songs you're like, is this really a luxury car? Coming in at a very solid 7 out of 10. The infotainment system works really quite well. The only thing I found kind of silly was you go here and try to click browse when you're moving. It says feature unavailable while driving. Use voice recognition instead. But if you just scroll this knob, you get the browse screen, and then you can touch on things. So a little silly that they bother locking you out of that screen from the touch menu. Subjectively speaking, considering the price, the class of vehicle, I think a 6.5 to 7 is still fair. There are definitely vehicles you can get in this class for similar price with better sound systems. See Volvo or Mercedes. but this is pretty on par from a Harman-Kardon system in a BMW 3 or 4 Series. I'd say with the right EQ tuning, the Harman system sounds better, but right out of the gate, this one's pretty strong. And they both have pretty decent infotainments. So thank you all so much for watching. If you want to see more on the CT4, check the links in the description, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.